I mean, Half-Life, was a risky name because I knew there was a big video game out there with the name Half-Life. And it's not like there haven't been other novels. In fact, there was a novel, an American novel, probably about 15 years ago with the name, but it fit so perfectly. It fit with both the scientific theme, but the fact that, Ellen is at half-life. She's in midlife. And then there's also this sensibility that she may have only lived her life in a half kind of way, that there's a half lived element to her life in terms of her own frustrations and the things that she's dealing with in terms of a feeling of accomplishment and, and where her child is at and where she's at with her own mother and her own background. And mostly this idea of a truth that she's never really been able to grapple with, and that has held her back in life. It's held her back from all of her relationships. So Half-Life worked brilliant. I didn't know at the beginning that that would be a big element. And then it was just sort of there, all these serendipitous things happened. One of them happened in a library. I mean, one of the biggest things happened in a library. I was in a library. I write some screenplays, and I was working on a screenplay that had an Arctic background. And literally, I was stuck, and I wanted to just go and look at pictures of polar bears and get a sense of, an art, like a bleak tundra kind of atmosphere to inspire me. But in this area of Arctic wildlife in the library, in the Hampton Library, was this book turned front ways, just looking out. And it was about the Danish resistance in World War II, a topic that I had no interest in and in no way was touching the novel that I thought I was writing at the time. And it's just one of those things. I picked it up out of curiosity. It was kind of poorly written, to be quite honest, but it was fascinating, and it had this apocryphal story in it, and that just took me down this rabbit hole. I just became fascinated by this story. Is it true? Is it not true? Is it possible? It just seemed so crazy, and I thought, oh, how interesting. What a great echo, what a great mirror for somebody who's struggling with truth, who's struggling with the idea of truth. And then you've got this element of science in which we invest with this notion that science we go to for hard truths, and yet so many truths are malleable, especially in the kind of science that Bohr was in on the ground floor of, quantum physics, right? And so that just took me down a whole interesting rabbit hole. And in doing so, I discovered that there were these female physicists who were sort of forgotten by history, and they also became an element of the story, and also became a kind of an echo of Ellen's own frustrations at not becoming a theoretical physicist herself. She'd had these big ambitions, and then life had gotten in the way. That is, I think there's no writer out there who's nailed that. That will always be a question, and I think you just wrestle with it and enjoy the wrestling with it. That is something you have to live to write. You have to have some writing experience. I have to move my body. I can't sit all the time when I'm writing. So I think of part of my writing is an ambulation. I'm outside, I'm absorbing the world, I'm thinking about my story. I'm working out the problems with my story, always. Then I come back and I can be more focused. So don't forget to live your life. It's good material.